Get your glasses on. Right, I don't know. Are we live? Yes, we're live. We're live from Costa del Sheffield. I'm outside here, palm trees, lapping waves, sand. We're waiting for Majid. He's not here yet, but he should be coming. We were going to kick off. We got we got the Observer to do. The sun's shining in that way. We're just going to move the angle, not into the sun. There you go. So we got the Observer. We got the Sunday, the Tory Times of London. We've got the Mail, and we've also got the Express. And we're kicking off today with the #1 buzzing, trending. Fucking hell. Because it's chaos at the moment. The country is in absolute bits. He's here, calls for PM Boris to apologise. He says focus should be on wages, not cancer cases. He's a horror. The guy's a monster. And he does it with all this sort of like clownish. There's no petrol, there's no gas, there's no electricity's going up. £20 off the poorest people, and he's got £1,000 a roll wallpaper. But the main story, so the Tory conference has started in Manchester, and the main story trending, what I was just saying to you on the Twitter, look at that. Is that real? It says 3 Labour MPs seriously consider defecting to Boris. Who buys this shit? Who buys it? It's serious because it's had the desired effect. Yesterday we was doing the artist talk, and we talked about narrative and the use of narrative and the power of, we actually didn't say this, but the power of performative utterances. So that's when you get things, headlines in the papers, politicians, people of note, go in the televisual field, they appear, there's like, what's your opinion? And if they're like if they're in the government, they have a position of responsibility. But the media, 3 Labour MPs seriously considered, has that ever happened before? Has it ever happened? You have to find out. We'll look up in the... There was actually a defection, and it was he made his first appearance at the Labour conference, and it was the Tory John Bercow, who went from he was the speaker, but he's actually joined the Labour Party. I wonder whether they're gonna like get him to go like airlift him into, like parachute him into something. But 3 Labour MPs, shall I read it? I found my glasses. I couldn't read anything yesterday. 3 Labour MPs are considering defecting to the Conservative because they have become disillusioned with Keir Starmer's leadership. The MPs decided during last week's Labour conference to open lines of communication with Tory whips about switching parties. Yeah, but you're just fucking reading this. You're doing, it's had the desired effect. It's the #1 trending thing on the Twitter. They know 3 Labour, do you know what it says? 3 Labour MPs, and everyone goes, what, have they been arrested? It's fucking mad because it's buttressed on the other side, because we've got another thing here, and it says, until Labour can convince ordinary voters it doesn't despise them, it's doomed to be a pressure group for middle class trendies. Written by Paul Embry, trade unionist and Labour Party member. Fucking hell. I mean, it's really sort of like mad that you have like this whole, like what we were just saying, coming together of the dark forces. Boris Johnson's right-wing Tory party, which is Nadine Dorries, Dominic Raab, destroying the country. The Brexit is the biggest mistake ever in British history. That's what they're saying. And in the middle of all of that, you've got these people that are whooping, clapping. Yesterday it was, our boys are going to deliver the petrol because everyone's stranding at home. And the front page of the Express today, look at that. It says, Boris build back starts now. From what? Build back from... The country's a fucking mess. We're isolated from Europe. The border's shut. Nothing can get through. There's no HGV drivers. No potatoes in the co-op. No eggs. And it's the build back starts now. Here he comes. The mayor of Sheffield. Ex-mayor of Sheffield. We're gonna go back over what we were just talking about there as he comes in. Here he is, look, well done, Majid. Whee! Majid is my first ever guest on a newspaper review.
I feel honoured, thank you so much.
How you doing?
Doing good, thank you very much. Managed to get some fuel okay this morning. Wait and see, and yeah, no, honestly, I'm doing good. Sun's out. You're in wonderful Sheffield.
Costa del Sheffield.
Yeah, it is. It practically is.
So we just started with the mail, but have you been on the Twitter this morning?
Not that
Number
much.
one story out of all the papers is this one here. 3 Labour MPs.
Want to join the Tory? I did see that last night, in fact, on Twitter, and honestly, I don't think I'm that surprised, in all honesty, but I think everyone's trying to figure out which 3 MPs it is, kind of thing. And honestly, it just kind of just goes to show that the right will just keep pushing Keir Starmer more and more further to the right. It's clearly they're not happy with everything that's been happening, and it's,
So you think it's real? They haven't made it up. It's not.
or it could just be a threat, just to kind of.
Yeah,
push
they
Keir
said that
Starmer.
the 3 MPs have open communication with Tory whips.
Honestly, in this area, I wouldn't be surprised. But you can argue like load of kind of Labour MPs are practically conservative, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
In all honesty, it's depressing. It really is, but it's just the current state of.
Because you was anti-Brexit, wasn't you?
Yes, but I was critical of the European Union, but I was anti-Brexit for sure.
Yeah, and so we're now in this situation where there's petrol shortages, no HGV drivers. I think people are starting to see when there's no food on the shelves, is that, Brexit could quite possibly be the biggest mistake this country's ever made. And yet, Keir Starmer this week, in the thing, he said, let's make Brexit work.
Do you know what? It's such a shame because I can see politicians, but also our media, 'cause everyone's just refusing just to accept that Brexit is causing a lot of kind of havoc in our country. And I said they will do anything to kind of not try and connect either two together when it's just clearly obvious. And you even had I'm sure you saw it on Twitter, where you had a lot of Tory MPs and kind of Brexit campaigners were saying, look at what's happening in Brussels, but in Belgium, saying, look at pictures and images of all their kind of shelves which were empty, which they were saying, look, it's not just the UK, it must be the rest of Europe is also
And carry for on strike.
Exactly, that's literally what it was. But the thing is, even when you show them the proof and evidence, will know just what it is. Not bothered. Like, there's nothing about retracting your statement. Anyway, it's just. But the thing is, you would have thought it would have been a real good opportunity for Keir Starmer to be like, well, I want to just fucking be honest.
Yeah, don't you think that's weird?
Yeah.
No, but don't you think it's weird that no one can actually say, even though the whole country can see that. So yesterday's paper, it was champion. It was like, even though we're down, it's like, our boys will deliver. It's the army's bringing the petrol. Well done, Boris.
Yeah.
It's really weird. In the lowest points, they champion it. But I think it's the Brexit thing. I find it weird that no one can tell the truth, even though we're all seeing it. Why doesn't anyone say, hang on a minute, this looks, is this Brexit? They're not even prepared to say, maybe Brexit isn't working, or maybe Brexit isn't any good.
I feel as if like I feel the reason Labour aren't doing it because they feel like they need to be more Tory-like to kind of, there's just got this belief that it's for us to kind of be taken seriously, for us to kind of win back those red seats. It's just for them, Brexit, even though they know the truth, they just are not even interested kind of in because they believe that's in some way kind of get them to kind of win election seats.
I think a lot of it is weird, and I think this sloganeering where it says "Build Back Better," and that, like Biden was saying that the other day as well.
It was a major campaign.
Yeah, but it's
why is it starting now?
Isn't it? Look, Boris, build back better, Boris.
Yeah.
So it's like they do those focus groups, and it sounds good. So it's just ingrained, and it's like. It's embedded in your retina. Do you know what I mean? You're looking at it all the time. You're hearing it. It's just fucking. That's all it says.
And also another thing you always see is leveling up.
Yeah,
But what does it actually mean? Like it's a really good slogan, but nobody can really give it any substance, kind of
But
thing.
that's what it's not meant to have any substance. It's just meant to be a slogan.
But it feels like more. It's like it's punching down more than anything else. You've got like
It's that Northern Powerhouse.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
slogans.
But it's like you've got energy bills going up. You've got universal credit being cut.
National tax rises.
Exactly.
Council tax rises.
Exactly, and it just seems that the ones who are kind of most vulnerable in society, predominantly living enough, are constantly getting shafted. Where we're seeing that the constant rich are always getting richer, and it's like, what does leveling up kind of mean? It means
He's
nothing.
the Chancellor of the Exchequer, but he's like a multi-millionaire, and he's in a family that's a billionaire family.
Yeah.
So he's taking £20 away. That's really sad, isn't it?
Do you know his constituency?
No.
It's Richmond in North Yorkshire.
Okay.
Right? Clearly he's not from there, he's just parachuted. But it's like, tell me why Richmond Council gets more government funding than some of the most poorest councils.
right.
Because
He's the Chancellor.
he's a chancellor. And you
He's
see it,
the one writing the
exactly,
checks.
and you also see it in many kind of Tory councils down south, and you're like, why are they getting more money than some of our kind of like stricken communities and councils that are literally, as a result of Tory cuts, actually people are dying. But it's
weird,
Yeah.
all that sort of like money and sort of like where the money goes and what money pays for. Like when you hear things like, oh, it was 37 billion for, what was that, track and trace.
Yeah.
You know, they seem really large numbers. And one of the things that, like, I always looked at was the quantitative easing. And when they done the banking crisis, they took out 365 billion of quantitative easing. So basically, that's the Bank of England literally printing money and selling it off to the government, people buying bonds off the government. But I looked at it the other day and I was thinking, because I heard they were still doing the quantitative easing, 895 billion now. But that's to do with the pandemic as well. They've been continually doing quantitative easing. I think they've been doing it in the EU, in America, in Japan. And it's basically just printing money. So when they say about the magic money tree and these like 37 billion for track and trace, and then it comes down to like £20. You know, 890 is a long way from £20.
yeah. Do you remember? Do you know before the pandemic we were always being told like, "Oh, we can't house all the homeless people. We've tried, and the pandemic hits, we house all the homeless, or we can't borrow beyond a certain amounts. We're borrowing record amounts." It's everything that we were told was complete bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just that they didn't want to do it. The political will wasn't there. And then now it's completely acceptable to give your mate who's a pub landlord millions of pound contract, and it's just the amount of cronyism, just corruption. But another thing is we expect this from the Tory government. It's like it seems that we kind of get surprised, but they've been doing this for years. But it's like, I don't know, just at a time where you'd kind of expect, you really want a strong opposition to really like kind of, and I think from the get-go, it just kind of felt like, from Keir Starmer saying, yeah, I agree with Boris. And it's like, well, where is the kind of serious opposition kind of thing that we really need? And it's just...
If you think that they told the truth, do you think people would listen? Or do you think that they know that people like to be lied to? People like whatever happens, it's the opposite. We were saying, it was really bad last week. And on that day when it was like fucking the petrol really hit and it was, really bad.
Yeah.
And Boris, they released that Boris is going to send rockets to space, and they called it Galactic Britain. So in their darkest moment last week, like they went for the stars, do you know what I mean? And they was like, Boris is going to outer space. It's like, that's incredible stuff.
It's just baffling, the fact that Boris is thinking about actually going to space. When I don't know, I think it's just another distraction. I personally think the Tories are...
They're in trouble.
Yeah, you've got the Tory party conference this weekend, and there's a lot of especially a lot of the kind of so-called conservative MPs that took a lot of the red wall seats that are really pissed off with Boris, and I think his days are numbered kind of thing, because sooner or later you're like, yeah, cheers mate, you've done your bit, but the show's like, it's just a show, but it's just, his days are numbered as well, and they'll probably, and the sad thing is, honestly, I genuinely believe that we will have a person of colour Prime Minister. The Tories will have it before
they've got a lot of ministers.
And sometimes you kind of see them kind of like...
But I can't see anyone getting power off of them for ages anyway, so it can't be anyone else.
Well, there's a big problem with Labour, like how you get Scotland back, how you do without actually working.
And they're actually now redrawing the boundaries, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
So part of this story about Free Labour MPs, part of this story is their 3 Labour MPs are in boundary change.
Of course.
They're in boundary change. So they want to stay as the MP, but like if it changes, the Tories will get in. So they want to.
But you know, it's always been one of the things that really pissed me off is MPs see their job as jobs, as careers, whereas it should be seen as a privilege. You're kind of meant to kind of represent people. So it's like they will toe the party line. They won't stick to their values and principles. They will do whatever they need to do, say whatever they need to say, vote whatever they need to vote, just to kind of stay in those seats and have those cushy jobs. And once they leave, they'll probably work for some kind of. But I'm not surprised if you've got Labour MPs who are scared that. So it's basically they're trying to jump before they get forced out to jump, basically.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this story, but if it became true, that would be like fucking
it's
catastrophic.
But
really I think that's what they've got what they wanted with that story though, because that's quite a revelation coming into conference, Tory conference. Fucking hell. So the country's shit. And the lead story here, you're part of the Green Party, Extinction Rebellion, you up for that?
Depends. Depends. Well, of course I'll be like, but I want me blocking up the M25 personally.
Yeah. It says here, Boris, I'll lock up activists blocking the road. But this is war on the woke, isn't it? This is culture war stuff as well. PM threatens reckless and selfish protesters with huge fines and jail.
But you know, it's like, of course, they're using those who are kind of blocking the M25 as because, but it's basically to stamp down on any sort of protest, anything like that. Whenever like any sort of like movement, like whether it be Black Lives Matter, whatever it is, they'll just kind of just use it just to kind of get rid of any dissent whatsoever, just because it's
reckless and selfish. I've seen some of them, and they're like little really young. Like girls, or like they're old, and they're just big beefy guys jumping out of the car and trying to drag them out the road.
But you know, how do you feel about it, honestly? Because it's, say for example, like say a loved one of yours was trying to get into hospital and then they couldn't. You would feel pissed off naturally, like what the heck, kind of thing, right? So for me, there's a part of it's I completely like. I stand by the cause of what they're trying to achieve and what they're. But sometimes I kind of think, is this the best way to do it? Like it's like. Especially trying to get like the support of the public, but at the same time they'll argue, well, we won't be on the news, people will be talking about us getting on the agenda. So it's like, how do you peacefully protest and try and bring about positivity without pissing the electorate people you're trying to get?
They go up to like, they've been going up to like banks and things like that, and they go along with a big fuck off hammer and a chisel. And they go to the window like that, and they go. Have you seen them smash the windows in like banks and things like that?
I used to remember years ago.
Extinction Rebellion.
A couple of anarchist activists in Sheffield used to super glue the locks.
Yeah.
Put the key in a lot of the banks, kind of thing, which used to kind of cause a bit of disruption. But it's like, it's.
They say they're gonna they can strip search you now for super glue. Yeah. That's what they were saying. Pretty Patel's getting new powers. Anyone with glue on them in the vicinity.
Like I'm talking like PVC glue or like
ones that stick your hands together. Yeah. Not PV. Hey Michael, how you doing?
Roll Clutzy.
Oh, nice one. So who's revving the bike? You know,
and then of course,
Sheffield.
And then you had the whole Everard thing as well on.
Oh yeah.
On the weekend, it's just.
Yeah, that's fucking serious, isn't it? So that's on the front page of the Times today.
I think what was shocking a lot of things was just the advice that the Met kind of gave, more or less. It was like, something like, if you feel threatened by police, just wave a bus down. Like, it's like, it's just completely like it's, and I know loads of people have been calling for the head of base at the Met to kind of leave, but it's just, and also just advice that they kind of give, and it's like, well, it's a complete nonsense, but also it's how far does that go? Say will they say run away and try to, if you're a black person? It's just like it's just complete nonsense. And I think today.
What if you start running? You're black.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you saw today. I think the Scottish Parliament said that they were going to basically.
But the police, like it's not just institute. It's right. It's everywhere. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's like quite a few of this horrific guy, his colleagues that he was in WhatsApp groups with.
Exactly, but also there's been hundreds of cases.
800 since 2009.
And how many of them have been sacked?
I know.
Hardly any of them can be sacked. So I think it is an institutional problem of misogyny which the kind of police have. And it's like also there's this kind of culture of if you dob somebody in, police won't have you back later on if you kind of injure. So it's like, it's what are you meant to kind of do kind of thing. So it's, I think how do you tackle it? It's like, because the police will argue, well, we need to have covert police undercover, but it's, well...
No, what do you think about, like, Frankie Boyle once said to me that misogyny is the core of all abuse, like, within humans, and that's, it's a really, like, strong thing, because there's lots of different kinds, like, you're thinking, and you start to see, like, all the patriarchal societies, do you know what I mean? It's, like, really fucking, it's embedded in culture, and it's, like, I think it's responsibility of, like, you know, when, like, you go online, you like, you say things, but I think it's personal responsibility in your own life as well, and what you hear and what you see and what you say.
But do you know the thing is, people don't notice misogyny. Like, if people say things and act like, but without thinking, because it's just so embedded within our culture and society, it's like seen as kind of the norm. If you were to, like, what's wrong with you, mate? Like, stop moaning or complaining. So it's like, I think in any given opportunity, whether that be, you see, even within our friends, our family, and I think, like you said, it is incumbent upon us to kind of make sure that we call it out. Otherwise, it's...
On the train up here, there was a group of lads, and I was like, you know, they were quite loud, so you can hear them. And one of them just said, "Oh, you're just like a girl," and it was like, it really, as soon as that went off, do you know what I mean? Because the other day, my little one who's 10 is in school, and they had someone coming in. They had the boys and girls there, and they had this big discussion about stereotype, and that was one of the main things about like saying things like that. It's common, it's every day, but it's like, people need to be aware of things in what's happening in their own lives, isn't it?
Exactly.
Anyway, let's get on to the Observer. We're in the Observer. We'll go inside soon in a minute as well. How many minutes are we up? 22, so we're well on time. You can't level up by raising taxes on the poor, Tories tell the PM.
And I think that'll be mainly the Tories that are in so-called, basically, no-fred seats that kind of pissed off. And I think that coming out in the Tory conference, that we will be hearing a lot of MPs, well, I think anyway, some Tory MPs that'll be coming against Boris, saying it's because, again, they're worried about their own seats. They've got their own kind of constituency to kind of represent, and they'll be thinking, we're in trouble.
But they love Boris. I swear to God, he's like a fucking gold mine for the Tories. So you like got the biggest disaster ever, like proper chaos in the country. And he's just extended the lead the morning today in like the opinion polls.
It's gone up.
It's gone up. So it's like it's really mad, isn't it? How that works. You know, it's like a fucking. You know, he does the most outrageous things. When we were talking about custard creams yesterday, everyone. So it's like he was on the sofa naked with 2 yellow cushions, and he's shouting, "Look at me, I'm a custard cream." If Keir started, it would ruin anybody. Any of the things that Boris done, like let the bodies pile high. Ruin anybody. Don't worry about cancer, worry about how much your wages are. Ruin anybody.
But you don't think, because Boris has created this persona, it's not just someone he's recently put in throughout his entire political career. He was just this blustering kind of like, I'm sure he even used to make his hair in a mess on purpose just to kind of give him the image. So it's like, but it's just Boris. Like, it's just, like you said, if Sir Keir Starmer, who's kind of giving up this image of like, forensic or whatever kind of thing, it'll kind of turn against him. But you're like, it's the Tories will keep on loving him as long as he's kind of keep on basically winning the opinion polls are doing well. But the moment he kind of starts plummeting, they'll just throw him under the bus kind of thing. If
they busted in a house and they found him with his belly out sitting on a sofa with a crack pipe, and they all come and took pictures, they're going, give a blast for us, Boris. He'll be on the front page of the Sun.
Literally. And even those MPs that are saying that suck up, I don't even think they actually give a shit, to be honest. I just think they're just boning. Like it's if they were basically down south representing, they wouldn't bat an eyelid kind of thing.
But he's this clown, he's this buffoon, but he's really dangerous, he's really right wing, he's got like fucking Nadine Dorries, Dominic Raab. But the whole of Europe is laughing, like the Netherlands, Denmark, all cartoons, and it's all Boris. So they make a joke out of him, and there's no petrol, and it's fucking Boris.
But you know what is? It's like a lot of British people, even though he does kind of come across, especially with the whole Brexit thing, the way that he actually even removed the whip from like Churchill's grandson, and I think like 7 MPs just because they didn't agree with him. Remember, we're saying, can you imagine if Jeremy Corbyn did that? Even if Keir Starmer did that, it would have been like, oh my God, Stalin is like, what is this kind of? He can go and it's like, look, he's being strong. It's as if like, he can't do any wrong, but I think things come in cycles. Sooner or later, people will get sick and tired of him, and then I'll be honest with you. I think Keir Starmer's also just like trying to think. I'll just bide my time, and my entire pitch is I'm not Boris Johnson, but it seems like his polls are kind of
some of the ones he kicked out, like David Gork. It was like there were quite many big ministers.
Yeah.
Philip Hammond.
Exactly.
And he kicked them
Proper
out.
Tories, yeah. I don't think like it's just mad.
We was like very influenced by in the beginning by Dominic Cummings and his Art of War comes to like destroy everything and build it again, and lots of things around Brexit. So the Brexit is about opportunity. They see it as opportunity. So like that disaster capitalism. But what it is like what I'm saying is a realignment of who provides the necessities of life. So they talk about those supply chains, but they want other people are coming in now, so they know when they mix it up, it's like a financial crash, and the guys on the telly saying, I wake up every day dreaming of another financial crash.
And you know, someone on Twitter was saying it's the most diverse cabinet.
Yeah.
But it's like, someone reminds you, well, like, isn't it great? You've got like those different people of colour in the Tory cabinet, but it's like it's not just a case of having black and brown faces in high places, and that's all of a sudden going to solve inequality kind of thing. I would rather have lots of old white men, rich white men that actually stood for justice, fighting equality, than Priti Patel kind of, because it's just complete BS kind of thing. So
what do you think about? So you're a refugee, aren't you? It's true, no?
Yeah. I came to this country as a refugee. Yeah.
So what do you think about like when they start saying things like about they're going to do waves, or they're going to like push back,
or even like putting them on an island or whatever?
Yeah.
But it's inhumane kind of thing. But of course, I think people kind of feel nobody like chooses to leave their family, their home, their friends, their community if they really didn't kind of have a place, unless they were forced. And I think linking it to Sheffield, like one of the beautiful things about Sheffield is that Sheffield is the first city of sanctuaries. Like it's got a very long, rich history of welcoming people from across the country, and Britain is a country that is built by immigrants and people kind of coming in into the country, and just to kind of be like, well, we're going to kind of push it, but where to? Like it's you can follow the kind of entire Australian model, but it's just honestly, I fundamentally believe that the people of Britain as a whole are human and actually do want to kind of show compassion to, but it's just this Tory government feel as if like they need to kind of show that they're tough kind of thing, and they're just honestly they're just competent at being evil more than anything else.
But they're also like the way that they sort of like manage the polls and like the moving the barriers, and it seems almost like that it's a rigged game, or they're making it into a rigged game. They're going to get, because when you see them, they're on 40%, but then you realise, well, actually, all the other parties is more. You know, Lib Dems, Greens, SNP, and Labour. But the thing is like they just have all the power with the media that they convince the country that it's like they're the powerful. Boris is there begging fucking Tory party donors. Do you know what I mean? Ain't got a pot to piss in. They're all chancers. £1,000 for a fucking roll of wallpaper. He had that wallpaper put in. It was £1,000 a roll. £1,000. That is fucking expensive.
But you know, it's like we've got the worst possible government running the country at the worst possible time. But what does that say about our position? Like, you'd think it'd be a real good opportunity to kind of like it's. And honestly, I can't see the Conservatives losing power without some sort of Labour working with other kind of political parties and supporting, whether that be like proportional, whatever it is. But it's like even myself. Even when the 2019 election, even though I was a Green Party member, Green Party MEP at the time, I was still advocating that Green Party candidates should stand down in Labour Tory marginals, because for me it was the bigger fight was, well, everything that I stand for and believe in, we're not going to get with the Tory government. Labour, as arrogant as they are, weren't basically interested in working with political parties, but it can be depressing, but at the same time, there's lots of reasons to be hopeful. So we can't completely.
I went all the way out to Stroud. What did they call that one? Stroud. I went all the way. Yeah.
When did you go there?
Before the election.
Ooh,
I went with the Labour.
marginal.
I was down there. I know. And Molly stood there and let in a Tory. I was saying to her, "Why are you doing that?" I really did. I stopped asking because I felt. Sometimes if you ask more than twice, then I felt. I feel a bit mean. I couldn't believe it, because this is someone who, like, she really championed Brexit, pro-Remain, and the guy was as well, the Labour incumbent, who had already won there, and she'd come and they lost the seat.
Yeah.
Are you still in the Green Party then? Yeah.
Yeah, the Green Party.
Yeah. So they've got new leaders. Do you know them?
I've met one of them briefly, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's,
Is that good?
so basically there was two kind of co-leaders that were in for
Oh,
women.
what about Amelia? What happened?
Well,
I thought she was going to be the...
Amelia was the deputy, and then
She'll
lady
get
called
next time.
Tamsin, and they were kind of seen as the more radical ones, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That were really kind of, and then the kind of what people see the current leaders is more of like upholding the status quo of the Green Party, professionalising it, kind of thing. So it's we'll just, and I think like it's. I think the Greens will probably pick up more seats as usual, especially with the way the kind of people are more engaged with the climate debate and want to kind of tackle up with. So it's
and also with Labour going right, some lot to the left and go green, don't they?
Yeah, well, and then you've got, but that being said, you've also got kind of like new parties coming. I don't know if you know, like the Breakthrough Party, which are kind of like a Democrat Socialist Youth Party. So there's lots of, I think people are starting to realise, gone are the days where people are just voting for a party like it's a football team that they support, like win or lose, it's just part of their identity. And I think, so I think it's
Let's go and find. We're going to go and look for Tim Shipman. You know, Sundays is Tim Shipman Day. So he's like the lead writer, political writer. He only writes on Sundays, but he might not write this week. Let's have a look. But he's like proper. He's got all their numbers. He's got all the gossip.
Okay.
He wrote like the war that they won, and what's he writing about? That's not him. So he might not be in here today, but he's normally got a...
What does he normally chat about?
He's got Tories. Tim Shipman, here he is. So he's got every little Tory helps as voters put low taxes at the top of their shopping list. So this is really extraordinary as well. So this headline's about tax. So basically, the front page of the Telegraph yesterday had Oliver Dowden saying that we are the party of low tax, and Boris wants to we're gonna cut taxes, and it is the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite. Next year they're saying we're gonna have the highest tax
49%,
70 years.
Yeah.
And it's like this is like, look, every little Tory helps as voters put low taxes. It's really incredible. It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Because
do you know, when you think of the Conservative identity, what is it? Law and order, low taxes, and toughen immigration. And if
they're putting taxes up.
Yeah, exactly. And that will piss off a lot of their kind of...
But they don't know, but they're saying in the papers, saying, no, we're the party of low tax. They're not.
They'll say one thing and then just do the other thing, but it's...
Okay, so nothing big today, really, from Tim. Freedom warrior. So who do you reckon in the Tory party is the freedom warrior? It's Liz Truss. Look at her. Yeah. She's the one who gets really angry when she says, what did she say? Something about cheese or something?
Yeah.
No, she was saying
some food item.
Yeah, because we're going to sell like jam.
So it was something so ridiculous. And he's like, is that your big sell? Like, is that what's going to basically put Britain on the map? But
she normally stages things. So quite often she'll put a prop in. So one time she had a picture of her on her desk, and it was with like one of those big Dulux dogs or something, wasn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, so she just puts that in there, so everyone goes to what's that? She got a dog.
Also like it's flags also present. Flags. But no picture of the Queen.
Oh no, unless that are over there. So Liz Truss, the new Foreign Secretary, wants to fight malign forces with free trade deals linked to security pacts. Britain is to strike new security deals with democratic countries to fight the influence of China and Russia. It's just another shit.
And you know what it is? It's just I can't help but feel like lots of other countries around the world, because when you sign a trade deal contract, a lot of it is based on trust.
Yeah.
And kind of like, well, not to kind of break the contract, and the way people see in the way that Britain's kind of be dealing with the European Union, whether it's a shit deal or not, they think, well, you can't even adhere to own kind of contracts that you sign. What gives us as much faith that you would actually... So I think a lot of countries, whereas before Britain was seen as somebody that kind of sticks to where they'll basically just be thinking, can we really trust the Brits to kind of...
Yeah, but they because they're so like, or they're obviously, they're quite open about sort of like being corrupt. They've been accused of lots of corruption over the pandemic, and so you'll get corrupt people from around the world thinking, hang on, we can do business.
Do you know what?
They can fucking do business with these.
Sadly, what government isn't corrupt?
Yeah, true.
It's what levels of corrupt. So maybe like, yeah, it's...
They're the worst
like
though,
us,
aren't they?
yeah.
The Tories. How can you fucking even imagine that the poshest people, the people with the power, the people with the land, how do they convince the poorest people? How do they convince the majority of the population? How do they get elected?
By controlling the media, lying to them. They're like old playbooks, basically, but it's...
The Tories don't care, but I don't know what Labour stands for. This is the Observer. It says here, Labour failing to turn anger over food and petrol shortages into support.
Do you know what it is? I think, honestly, people just want to see what differentiates Labour from the Tories. And for the longest, it's you can use whatever slogans, whatever you want. But it's, unless people can be like, well, okay, this is what the Tories stand for. But what... And Keir Starmer's not giving people a real alternative.
Because they're saying, like, what does it stand for?
I still today don't know. They've had a big, like, conference and stuff like that. I still don't know what makes them different.
Okay, this is Boris Johnson's old boss, Max Hastings. For his sake and Britain's, it's now time for Boris to cycle off into the...
Not sunset, but...
Into the sunset.
Into the sunset.
I mean, a lot of the people that write in the Sunday papers, I don't know who most of them are, but they have real power as well, and they get things onto the internet.
It's the thing, it's like, where do people source their information from? Sadly, like, even though I think...
Are papers good?
Print papers are kind of dying in some degree. I think people are going online and stuff like that, but even then, you can't regulate...
They sell, like, this one's the Daily Mail, they sell 1 million physical papers a day. Yeah. Sales. Every day of the week. And that's quite a lot.
Yeah, and their online presence, the Daily Mail News online presence, it gets a lot.
Is it number one?
Yeah, it really is.
I think Daily Mail is number one.
Yeah, online platform.
No, not in the UK. Isn't it the entire world?
Yeah, news platform. But the thing is, like, people, they understand that they need to kind of adapt and kind of...
So, like, when you hold that up and it says, who buys this shit? It's actually a lot of fucking people. It's a lot of people. A lot of people buy it. 1 million.
But you know the sad thing
I buy it. I got it. I bought it this morning.
But say you live in a part of the country where you don't come across much migrants or refugees, and you're getting your information from papers, and you'll keep reading again and again, dehumanizing, gonna come do... That's gonna just feed into you, kind of thing. So it's honestly, that's one of the things I would love to see in this country, is if we made it a mandatory part of the kind of school curriculum, understanding politics or just like rhetoric. Because if you go to private school, they teach you about rhetoric. They teach you about how to win your argument, how politics works and media works. Because if you go to those private schools, you're expected to be the next leaders of the country. But if we made that mandatory into our schooling system, at a young age, we'll give young people the tools to kind of sift through all the bullshit. But well, not just kind of garbage and bullshit. But they will never kind of do that, because that'll be giving too much power and kind of influence and just educating the young people. So it's quite sad. Yeah,
there was my friend here from Sheffield yesterday, Gary Kisby, and he was listening, then he just shouted out at the end, do you know what, I think if they made it mandatory that everyone voted, I don't think that they would win, the Tories.
Yeah. Because I guess with the mandatory vote, it's like, you can't just force people, you have to teach them to be like, well, information like who you're going to vote for, how you're going to vote. It's an entire process, and people will be like, well, no, these people, because they are the minority. People realise, well, they don't stand for anything that
they have like in Australia, they have mandatory voting, and you've got the fucking horrific right-wing Morrison government, proper right-wing, Boris's buddies. Yeah. Like, what do you think of that? And that, so we're sending rockets to space, but nuclear subs to the fucking Australia.
I know the French were pissed off because nobody told them, but it's just...
Australia wants a nuclear sub. Yeah. Is that what the deal is? They're buying a nuclear sub, and we're making it.
Our technology is the best, and because we used to get it from the French, and they're like, the French technology is not modern day up to kind of the level that they kind of wanted. But it's nothing new. We've been selling weapons to Saudi Arabia for how many years? And
nuclear subs, that's a step up, isn't it?
It's
all the way down there, Australia.
I don't know who Australia go to war with.
China.
But it could be like a part of a strategy where it's basically they're our allies. If anything was to happen, we need to kind of make sure that they're fully equipped, and it's basically in Britain's interest that Australia have lots of kind of nuclear power as well.
It's scary though, all that stuff, isn't it? Because you think like, you know, the way that things mobilise, and then you see who the leaders are. You only need a couple of dodgy leaders. We really got away with Trump. Yeah.
Crazy person that's like, right, and just one
Boris
person
is a
can
proper
trigger
candidate
it.
though, isn't he?
Yeah.
Fucking Boris. Do you know what I mean? He's absolute chaos. He's a mess. Look at him when he's walking into the conference. Look at the fucking state, the cut of him. His tie's out, his shirt's fucking out of his pants, hanging down.
But people will say that's relatable. Like it's just look. He's
a fucking slouch. He's a slouch. But the thing is he that's his attitude as well. You know, that's a good one, isn't it? He's quite slouchy.
But do you know what's the counter argument? It's like the whole Keir Starmer thing was, I'm Jeremy Corbyn but electable because I'm prim and proper, and I'm so he's not doing good either as well, is he? So it's like it's not even like if you dress smartly and you kind of it's
Right, we're going looking for is it Dan? Dan's normally Andrew Motion on Princess Diet. Okay, here we go. Quite popular on a Sunday. His name's Dan Hodges. Dan. Do you know that in Alan Partridge? And he sees his friend, he's in the car park, and he's just standing there for ages. And he's just going, he's going, Dan! For ages.
I've not seen
Dan Hodges, that's Dan.
Yeah.
So, Starmer's off-colour joke about Boris's dad reveals the truth. He's a weak man in charge of a rabble.
What was the joke?
Anyone know what the joke is? Like, get my glasses. He didn't have the guts to say who had led them to a catastrophic defeat. Keir can kid himself all he likes, but he won't fool the British people. He's really he really hates Labour, doesn't he?
Yeah, he bats for the Tories. He's just
he
like
really fucking hates them. Like more than anybody. I always see him. He doesn't.
But do you know, that being said,
he don't look happy.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of the it doesn't look happy. But you know, a lot of what do you call it, journalists who hated Corbyn have basically come in support of Keir lately and be like, well, he's doing a good job. But he's just no matter who's in power of Labour, he'll always be like, yeah.
The joke was at the conference, and it was the joke about the tool. Everyone like tooling up, but like he said, what did he say again?
Something about, because he made the narrative that his dad was a toolman, and he kind of referenced that quite a lot. And he's like,
and he said,
I've got my tools.
Yeah, but he said, the leader of the Labour Party really had used the Prime Minister's father to attack Boris for being a tool.
Did he?
Does Starmer realise Boris buried his mother on Monday?
Is he buried? I didn't even know.
Yeah.
But do you know what? Like worse things, like I don't think it was that.
Because there was another flare up as well, wasn't there, at the conference? Because Keith was saying something about his mum, wasn't he? Wasn't it his mum's final care at the end? And then they were saying it was really bad because they shouted out.
Apparently, the thing is, some people saying that. I didn't.
But the heckle, if you listen to the heckle, they were playing in, is when he says, like, about something about NH nurses, why, or something like it. And then they said, well, like, why don't you give them a pay rise?
Yeah, but you know, it's like he was prepared for hecklers because he had his lines prepared, kind of thing, which he delivered quite well, kind of thing. So yeah, he knew he was going to get hecklers, but I don't know, it's just...
They got a picture of him and he's got a hammer and like a belt with a toolbox on it. So they actually turned it and said that Keith is the tool. Yeah, they're fucking mad. I don't know who... Oh yeah, who else is in... So normally I get the Times, the Sunday Times. We've got the Sunday Times here. And I'm normally in the car. And I want to tell you something because we talk about it every week. It's a fucking joke. How big's this paper? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, how you even, like, how do you get from, like, even if you want to, like, because they can't see us now, can you?
Surely you fold it, though, or you read it like that.
Yeah, but you could, okay, what, fold it in half like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you have to keep opening it every time. So, like, even to get that first page, you need a big table. If you've only got a little table, you need a bigger table. Make it smaller. But yeah, this is just like shit, isn't it? Most of it is just, well...
Which paper's the most expensive?
The Observer. and the Financial Times to spend a lot of money on papers.
Every day.
Fucking lot.
But what do you do with the papers afterwards?
Recycling is Armageddon, reuse, but I haven't got a project at the moment. If there's anyone out there doing paper mache, get in touch. But yeah, it's big stacks, you know, and it costs like, some days it's like £10-15, other days less. The best paper, do you know the best paper? Daily Mail. If you look at...
sensationalism?
No, because if you do like some of the...
Oh, you mean objectively? The way,
well, no, like if you go like all these papers here, like every page, every other page, in The Guardian, in The Observer, it's like basically you
massive
get...
adverts.
Massive. You get like a little column in the corner and the rest is just like big adverts. You get double pages, but they rely on advertising lots. You get... And also... I want to say that you know, they do have that like the best pictures of the week in the middle, but they're actually juxtaposing the pictures isn't really that good. Whereas the Mail, ridiculous fucking headlines, do you know what I mean? And some really incredible pictures. The framing of it is easier. There's more to talk about, you know what I mean? Because it's really fucking horror.
It's accessible, really.
Well, I think the Daily Mail is just a horror, but it's like it's fucking just the way that it's framed and everything like that. This is impenetrable. Look at that. Like this is every double page is like full up with adverts. This one's too big. The Mirror, do you know what I mean? The Mirror could be a really good paper, but the layout's really shit, and they're always like, because they're always doing the celebrity stuff, and it's not very, you know. There is, I mean, The Observer. The Daily Express is fucking basket case land. It is really bad. Really bad. The Daily Star's been doing quite good with like front covers, but again, it's a fucking horror. It's really horror. They
always lead with showbiz, don't they? It seems as if like, do you think that's what pulls people in to buy papers and then they'll just get a bit of news afterwards?
Will be a well-paid, skilled Britain. We were saying it yesterday. They're not really newspapers. They're like it's pamphleteering. It's pamphleteering. Yeah. They're like olden days. They used to go around. They used like get up and just like write a thing, and they would go around handing them out at meetings. And military moving in, but Boris says fuel crisis is stabilising. He's going to save. What do you think about the Build Back Better and Save Christmas? And
I think, I'll be honest with you, because a lot of people care a lot about Christmas. It's culture. So if people didn't get their turkeys off, I think it would be damning for the Conservatives. So I think they will do anything to make sure that the entire Christmas period works kind of well. But I know they can't introduce 3-month visas, which a lot of the HGV companies said is not enough. It's not going to kind of work. So I think they need to do a lot more than that to save Christmas. But it's all right. They'll be the government. They'll be known as a government that kind of ruined Christmas.
Yeah, but they did last year. They saved Christmas last year, but then straight after January, everyone got dead.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands died in January and February because
they want to open things up so people can see their family and stuff.
But I know. But it's always like, no matter what the disaster, Her Majesty's hope for a sense of renewal, because they were saying like she's like millions. What's happening?
Did you hear about the fact that what's that?
Andrew.
Pedo, Andrew. The fact that she's bankrolling his case,
I know.
And it's the fact that she uses taxpayers' money. So it's people like yourselves and us who's basically funding his campaign. But it's royal family.
Yeah, that's what I mean by pamphleteering. So here's a column by the esteemed journalist Esther McVeigh MP. She's got a column here. Well, it's actually a whole page. Well, nearly a whole page. Say goodbye to nanny and return to real Tory values. Protect our freedoms. And then it says crusade. Crusade.
All the buzzwords.
Fucking hell. A crusade.
But you know, when they say protect our freedoms, what are they exactly referring to?
But the woke.
Yeah, like freedom.
The wokeism. The wokeists.
I just want to know what freedoms they've lost, to be honest.
Yeah, because those wokey, they're fucking, always blabbering on about fucking crying about something. That's what they were saying.
Well, the most people who bang on about wokeism is
cancelling people.
Well, the most people who actually want to cancel people are Tories that basically bang on about it. You don't need any so-called people are saying, well, we've been cancelled, yada yada yada, but it's.
What do you think about him, Andrew Neil? Did you ever talk?
Got no
have
sympathy
any
for him.
interviews with him? Did you?
Thankfully not. It was always Joe Kerben.
Yeah.
But I've got no sympathy for him because he did not say that he needed a breakdown when he was on.
I know.
What's
in
the TV
his
show?
villa in France, was he, when he was breaking down?
Yeah, because he was going terribly. I'm like, what
He's
did you
the one that
expect?
started the woke, wasn't it?
Exactly. That was the pitch was we're gonna tap the woke and kind of like take him on, and kind of trying to picture himself more like a Fox style British kind of system, but it's. And then he kind of went crying, saying, "Oh, it's not what I wanted it to be." Yada yada yada. And it's like
Gammon TV. They
But
call
you know,
it.
but you know the thing is, honestly, he'll be back at the BBC. I promise you. I'm not like, he'll be back at the BBC in no time, kind of thing. So it's
He was really like he was begging. He was begging, please. I'm really.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Did his big interview.
Yeah.
Saying like it's.
Yeah, I've left them. Well, like, why did you? You started it.
Yeah, not only did he start, he was basically thinking this is the future.
Yeah, I know.
Forget the BBC. Don't pay your license. Attacking him, saying, thinking that this was the kind of. And he realised he made a big.
Yeah, because the people behind him had money, so he was really into. Oh, well, yeah, I like money.
Yeah.
I'll get in there. I know. So here, but after they put on the front page, Build Back Better, they say here, time for Boris to give substance to slogans.
Exactly.
And the other editorial is, we are united behind the Queen. I don't know what for, but oh look, there's the other columnist. So you've got Esther McVeigh, and on the other side, Nick Ferrari. Good. He's like fucking. He's a horror as well. Do you know, like, the whole thing about journalism? Nick Ferrari won Journalist of the Year 1 year from well, what's that group called anyway? Is it? I've forgotten. They do the journalist awards. It's their own thing. Anyway, he won Journalist of the Year, and he'd written a column like on the Sunday or the Saturday in the Daily Express, and it was about Angela Merkel. And he said, like, he used the hills are alive with the sound of music. He used it, and his line was, "The hills are alive with the sound of migrants." And it was really fucking horrific. And they all voted for him to be the best. He was the number one thing.
Is there other journalists that are, or is it just a panel of journalists?
all the journalists vote, and he won it.
Well, that's tell you about the state of journalists in the UK.
I think he won it. Do you know what he won it for? His interview of Diane Abbott. Yeah, he's a fucking. I think that's true. If not, like, we'll check that fact later, Nick. But we'll have a look here. But he did win the award. I remember because I tweeted about it. I said, but how can he win the award? He wrote this yesterday.
But they just don't care. Like, it's people like himself and other kind of right-wing journalists can say what they want, and they will always get support because it's freedom to say what I want, regardless of, and that would be seen as that's good journalism.
Yeah,
it's really, really good journalism, and it's, as you see at times. Do you remember when he was doing the interview for Boris at the general election, and you seen Boris going,
"Oh yeah,
say no, don't ask me that question." Kind of, it literally is so he'll give softball questions to the people that he likes. I think sometimes he can be smart, and he does kind of give them hard at times. But on the whole, he does kind of, you know what his politics is. Whereas, like, he will berate people like Diana Abbott and other kind of progressive MPs till the cows come home, but he will never kind of give that same treatment to.
So everyone hates the BBC at the moment, don't they? Or no one to me, the BBC is a massive sprawling entity. You know, it really is big, and it is like radio and different things. Incredible.
You know the revolving door between the BBC and journalists. So the reason like people like him and other kind of right-wing journalists never go hard at the Tories because they hope they can get a job afterwards.
Yeah.
If you look at people from the BBC or journalists end up working in 10 Downing Street, being like head of press. So it's in their interest to kind of not be and give them a kind of easier because they want jobs with them at the end of the day.
So what I was going to say is that BBC thing's really sprawling, but the control of BBC News, that's what it's about, isn't it? Like, because it's appointed by the government, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think even when Tony Blair was like Prime Minister, they appoint someone,
which is always political.
But the BBC is the British Broadcasting News, so it is actually supposed to, like, especially in times of crisis, in conflict, you know, and the government controlling it, the news, the narratives that come out. If you look at the front page of the thing today, it's championing Boris. It's like Boris starts the conference, it's all going to be all right.
Yeah. But you know, it's like it's even and the former head of Newsnight went over to work for Rishi Sunak, kind of thing. Honestly, it should be a rule. There should be a law where if you're a journalist, you can never work for the government. You can never work at 10 Downing Street, because otherwise they'll never kind of do fair.
But there's a big blur between PR and journalism, isn't there? And lots of people, a lot of people that go to media and want to be journalists now. It's very difficult. It exists with columnists and also reporters, but there's more people involved in PR. PR is a bigger entity than journalism, but even though it's the same kind of field, do you know what I mean? And they're trying to get into the news. But the PR, it's really bad when the two things are the same. Do you know what I mean? When the news and the PR company is like, that's it.
Well, they will use the news, basically, so they'll basically just put favourable articles. And a lot of the times as well, they'll either get writer and they'll get journalists to kind of place it for them, or MPs will get people to write and they'll just place it on behalf of MP. But it's basically just PR, basically PR instead of just journalism. So it's...
Right, we've got 5 minutes left. Has anyone in here got any questions? We can do take questions, or shall I look on the thing here?
No sun.
No sun?
With Zakir's article.
No. Did he do an article in the Sun?
Yeah, today.
See, they're all chatting amongst themselves because we ain't been paying attention. Listen, have you got any questions? Right question. Ask Majid a question.
In my opinion, the Tories, the pedo suspect.
Oh, don't. There's some really mad people. Be careful what you read.
Yeah.
It's really fucking...
You attract them all, don't you?
No, but I just think, of all the platforms, historically, my fucking YouTube is like a fucking... It's dark. I don't know about... I've never been on that... What is it? Reddit or 4chan. I've never been on that. I've never been on those kind of, they're like dark. They say it's really dark over there.
Reddit,
But YouTube is like a fucking... If you go to YouTube comments, it's an abyss. It's in a fucking abyss. Hey, everyone out there. Yeah, they're really fucking...
Is Boris our Kermit?
Oh, right.
Ben asks. Keir and Mandelson's links via the Trilateral Commission.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Careful what you say.
We're not all toxic here. So.
I love the abyss. St. Don.
You are sexy, Mark.
Thank you.
By Paul Davidson.
Oi, Paul. I'm married. Hi from the abyss.
When will the Green Party get on? Oh, it disappeared.
It's the Wild West out there. Oh, do you agree with Angela Rayner? What do you think?
I called in terms of calling.
Boris. But the thing was,
see how they spinned it, and they basically said she's calling everybody that
Scum.
all of them that wants to. Well, she's not that. She was literally calling them
Boris. No, she only called Boris.
Scum,
yeah, she only said Boris.
Well, 100%. But do you think, even Keir believes that, would never kind of, because it's seen as like, oh, you can't, so you have to become a professional. But I 100% agree that it's. Honestly, and I think calling someone scum, especially with everything that the Conservatives have done, whether that be taking food away from children during everything, is like the least you can call them.
High.
The least you can call them a scum. I was actually quite kind. That you can call them like evil. You can literally call them so much more worse things than just scum.
Yeah.
But then you see how the media had a field day with that, like, oh my gosh, she called all Tory scum, which is complete BS. But yeah, no, it's
Hashtag toxic Tory. What is it? Hashtag toxic Tory. What is it? Oh yeah, hashtag toxic Tory death cult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is, anyone called her, it would be hate speech. Anyone called
Oh right. So if they said to Angela Rayner, she's scum.
Why would it be if it's factual? But it's not.
Rayner was right on. I think it's quite like Tory scum's quite a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but she also gave it a lot of context. She didn't just say Tory scum. She kind of gave a lot of context why they were kind of Tory scum. And I think average people would basically.
I was in Manchester and I was with DPAC, Disabled People Against the Cuts, and they at the entrance to the thing, where you see Boris entering and there's billions of balls. That's my video. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it was on news, it was on everywhere. Anyway, so when they all pelt Boris with the thing, everyone was like, there was really sort of like, there was a lot of people there. Thousands went up, and we was on this march. So when the march started from the park, everyone walked, and then there was a bend. So you walk down, and in front there was a pedestrianised area, and we were in the road. And they all walked there, and then you turn right. You're talking about 10,000 people. You know, it was a big march. It was at the Tory conference. And as we got to the end, this first bit, there was a barrier not letting you go into the pedestrianised area. Behind that barrier stood 3 really young Tories, really young. And one of them had a copy of the Daily Telegraph, and on the front was a big picture of Margaret Thatcher. And he stood there like
Milk
that.
bottle snatcher.
No, but he stood there with 10,000. There was like, at the front, there was all sort of like black and red anarchist flags, and like they were the first to meet these things, and they never moved. He was there with his friend, and then there was, there were 2 friends, there was 3 of them. And as they got closer and closer, I was going, oh my God. And I was there with the camera, and I just started videoing, and they was like putting the flags over, and they were shouting at them, scum, 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 scum. And he was just standing there like that, and then someone just went smack with an egg, and the egg smashed on his head.
I remember it.
I videoed it. That's my video. It's on the news. It's on everything.
They credit you?
Yeah, back and the ball one, and there was outrage because like they just went like, look how bad these fucking like airy fucking lefty hippies. Look, that poor kid. He's just been egged. But I really thought, is this some kind of Bullingdon initiation? Like, are these 3 perspectives, like, are they got to go out and show how brave they are, like, go out and face them down?
Could be. They're doing more ridiculous things, basically. So, somebody asks, are you a Republican?
A Republican? What does that mean? Is it
Like,
like
in
that
terms
you
of the head of
believe
state?
Yeah. Well, you don't want the Queen?
You know, someone goes, are you
No Queen.
Get rid of the royal family.
I don't think it's just getting rid of the royal family. I think there's a proper class system here. You go to Scotland, like most of the land is like English, like lairds and fucking the Queen. I think Victoria went up first. They stole all their land, their grouse and like fucking castles and everything. They stole their fucking tartan. You know, they went to Scotland and took and like made their own tartan.
Mark, do you know,
They've all got to go.
Do you know I actually spent a night at Windsor Castle?
Oh, did you? With the Queen?
No. So basically, long story short, there was Thames Valley Chamber of Commerce. By the way, like there's been articles in Daily Mail written about me being hating the Queen supposedly. Yeah. So anyway, it was Thames Valley Chamber of Commerce said we hosted this event, and the royal family said we can host it at Thames Valley. At Windsor Castle. Can you just come and just talk to us about in terms of Sheffield, like Northern Powerhouse related kind of thing? I said, yeah, just when I was Lord Mayor of Sheffield, and I went along to it. And one of the deals was that you spend the night at Windsor Castle, and we got a tour given by, and do you know where Harry and Meghan got married? There's that church they got married.
Don't, yeah.
And me being a bit mischievous, right? I was like kind of showing us round, and I'm just like, I'm a Republican. And they showed us this, and they're like, this is where the Queen sits every Sunday for the Sunday service. And it was kind of barricaded off, right? And people went off in the rest of the tour. I think there must have been about 6 of us on this tour, right? So, me being me, I kind of hopped over and I sat on the Queen's chair in just some form of resistance. I thought to myself, the only thing I can do is just fart terribly on this chair. So literally I just sat and I just kind of just farted right into it, and I just went back and I just joined the tour. I thought that was the only thing I could do at that time.
I'm clipping that. He farted in the Queen's chair. I thought you were going to say that you had your boots on and you jumped in and you said the Queen is a waste woman.
No, I couldn't. Literally, I just thought.
You're the guy with the take a snap. Yeah. They were really good, weren't they? Do you all know
Chris
those?
Saunders.
Yeah, and he had a Mexican sombrero. So I actually went to his office. Fucking incredible. You go upstairs, it's the town hall, isn't it? And you go, the stairs go like that. His office is all, like, it was massive. It's like as long as this place here, like really wide, and it was all like wooden panelled, and thing like that. And he had like a white jacket and his shorts on, Dr. Martin boots. And the fella came out and he's got this fucking chain of office, solid gold, couple of 100 years old, everyone puts it on magic like that. And we went down and I got in the fucking mayoral car Madge's there, and I said, fucking look at that chain on you. And he said, yeah, look at the chain. See that guy in front? What's his name, the driver?
Carl.
See, Carl, he's not here to protect me. Look like he's protecting the chain.
Yeah. Practically.
He comes with Madge just to look after the chain, because we were going gay pride or something, was we?
Yeah, but then, yeah.
Pride.
Then we went to that Yemeni restaurant.
I know, that was a really fucking top restaurant. Bread the size of fucking the table. They put a piece of bread, it's like round, it's as big as the table. And then like lots of like rice and that. Yeah, so what are you doing now then?
So I run a European climate organisation looking at the intersection of climate and race, basically. So I mainly kind of just work with different climate organisations and grassroots groups from across Europe, mainly focusing on Western Europe. So I'm mainly focusing doing a lot of the European Green Deal, looking at our own Green Deal in the UK, and doing some work leading up to COP26 in November. I also am co-chair of a Sheffield City of Sanctuary, which is a refugee charity in Sheffield. So yeah, just make
Yeah,
sure
I think
it's
someone said
local.
that they worked there. That was here yesterday. I can't remember.
Yeah, probably it's quite a few.
Yeah, that's really cool then. So like, what do you think about what should the new Green Deal be? Because like everyone's going like, what, like nothing by 2050? It seems a long time.
Yeah, it's even like I think justice should be a massive part of what you call it, the European Green Deal. I mean, the Green Deal in the UK. But the thing is, even if we were to have the best Green Deal in the UK and the best European Green Deal, it's still not going to be enough unless we've got a global approach to it.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of tackle it from a kind of global approach, and then you kind of get conversations. Well, we need to look at climate reparations, because the least that contributes to the climate crisis are the ones who are paying the kind of consequences for it. And then you look at, well, at the very least, one of the campaigns we're doing leading up to COP26 is, at the very least, we should run a program of debt cancellation to the global south, just at least from the very least. But we need a global approach to it, and it's the Boris Johnson and the government just on. Yeah, they just
the debt cancellation and things like that. What was the slogan that they had? I went on a march and it was young people. It was like, there's no climate justice without migrant justice.
Yeah, because even like they predicted by the year 2050 there's going to be over 250 million people that will be displaced. And it's actually even happening now. So even if you look at parts of like the South Pacific and stuff, you've got entire communities that are having to actually leave and migrate somewhere else because their entire community, their home is basically underwater. And we're going to start seeing a lot of that happening around Africa and stuff like that. But it's
COP26. Is that going to be a coup? Because it looks like it's going to be a coup for Boris. He's really pushing it. It seems like he's going to be the leader on the world stage. It's actually happening in Glasgow. And they're trying to push Nicola Sturgeon out the way. They're going, you stand over there, Nicola, and Boris in the middle, isn't it?
But it's known as a last chance COP. A lot of people are saying it's a real last opportunity to kind of get some sort of real commitment. But I don't think most global leaders will take him seriously when I'm sure he's going to be spouting some nonsense. But it's like when we're still opening coal mines in the UK, when our targets we're not putting anything in place for us to achieve our targets. So it's shit. But we still have to see it as a massive opportunity. And I think there's going to be lots of activists present. There's going to be lots of campaigns. There'll be lots of things happening in Glasgow. So even if you can get yourself down to Glasgow, even for like a day or so, there'll be loads of amazing people there that you can meet and stuff.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Nicole from Cole's Corner, for hosting today. Well done, Nicole. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you for Majid, the first guest on the 1 hour Sunday newspaper review.
Thank you.